Chapter 1: The Battle Above Acheron. Captain Elias Vance had spent most of his adult life fighting the Zhyren Collective. The war had lasted for nearly 30 years. Entire star systems had been devastated. Human children grew up fearing the insectoid aliens. Zhyren hatchlings were taught to fear humans in return. Elias believed every word of the propaganda. He had lost friends in battle. The hatred felt justified. During a massive space engagement above the desert moon Acheron 9, his fighter took a direct plasma hit. Warning alarms screamed through the cockpit. The engines exploded in a burst of blue fire. Control systems failed one after another. Elias ejected moments before the ship crashed into the planet below. As he drifted toward the surface, he wondered if he would survive the landing. He had no idea his life was about to change forever. Chapter 2: The Enemy Survivor. The desert was brutal. Twin suns burned overhead. Crystal formations stretched across the horizon like frozen lightning. After salvaging supplies from his wreckage, Elias began searching for shelter. Several hours later, he discovered another crash site. The ship was clearly Zhyren. Its black hull was half buried beneath the sand. A lone alien emerged from the wreck. The creature raised a weapon immediately. Elias aimed his rifle in return. Neither trusted the other. Both had every reason to pull the trigger. Before either could act, a violent sandstorm swept across the desert. Survival suddenly became more important than hatred. The two enemies fled toward a nearby crystal cave. Chapter 3: Shelter from the Storm. The storm lasted 3 days. Winds shook the cavern continuously. The entrance became completely blocked by drifting sand. Elias and the alien remained on opposite sides of the chamber. Their weapons never left reach. Food was rationed carefully. Water was even more precious. Eventually, the alien activated a damaged translator. "My name is Kareth," the machine translated. Elias reluctantly introduced himself. Conversation was minimal at first. They exchanged information about the storm. They discussed possible escape routes. The hostility remained strong, yet neither could deny they needed each other alive. Chapter 4: Survival Partners. Once the storm passed, the real challenge began. Acheron 9 was filled with dangers. Predatory creatures hunted beneath the sand. Electrical storms erupted without warning. Many plants were poisonous. Working together increased their chances of survival. They learned how to trap crystal crawlers for food. They collected water from underground mineral deposits. Kareth proved surprisingly resourceful. Elias proved stubbornly determined. Each saved the other's life more than once. The partnership slowly became routine. Arguments still happened regularly. Old prejudices were difficult to abandon, but mutual respect was beginning to form. Chapter 5: The Truth About the War. Weeks turned into months. The two survivors spent long evenings talking beside campfires. Kareth spoke about his homeworld. He described oceans that glowed at night. He described family traditions and festivals. Much of it sounded surprisingly familiar. Elias shared stories about Earth. He talked about music, sports, and childhood dreams. Eventually, their conversations turned toward the war itself. Kareth claimed neither species had started the conflict intentionally. Political leaders on both sides had manipulated history. Generations had inherited hatred they did not understand. Elias wanted to reject the idea, yet the evidence became impossible to ignore. Everything he believed began to unravel. Chapter 6: Beneath Alien Stars. One evening they climbed a ridge overlooking a valley of glowing crystals. The landscape shimmered like a sea of stars. Neither spoke for several minutes. The silence felt peaceful. Kareth told an ancient Zhyren story about two souls destined to meet across impossible distances. Elias admitted humans had similar legends. They laughed at the coincidence. The conversation became personal. They discussed loneliness. They discussed fear. They discussed hopes they had never shared with anyone before. Their bond deepened naturally. A simple touch became something meaningful. Affection replaced suspicion. Love emerged where hatred once existed. Chapter 7: The Signal Home. Determined to escape the planet, they combined technology from both wrecked ships. The work took months. Many attempts failed. Several explosions nearly killed them. Finally, a functioning transmitter came online. The signal reached deep space. Human fleets received it. Zhyren fleets received it as well. Rescue operations launched immediately. At first, Elias felt relieved. Then, reality set in. Their governments would never understand their relationship. Military officers would demand obedience. The approaching ships represented danger as much as salvation. The future suddenly seemed uncertain. Chapter 8: Defying Two Empires. Rescue vessels arrived in orbit within days. Orders came from both sides. Human commanders demanded Elias return immediately. Zhyren officials ordered Kareth into custody. Neither side trusted the other. Neither side wanted peace. Elias and Kareth refused to be separated. Instead, they broadcast recordings of their months together. The transmissions spread across countless worlds. Citizens heard stories that contradicted decades of propaganda. Questions spread rapidly. Protests erupted throughout both civilizations. Governments struggled to control the narrative. Public support for the war began to collapse. For the first time, peace seemed possible. Chapter 9: A Future Written in Starlight. The negotiations lasted nearly a year. Many powerful leaders resisted change. Others saw an opportunity to end generations of bloodshed. A historic ceasefire was eventually signed. Human diplomats met Zhyren representatives openly. Trade routes reopened. Scientific cooperation began. Trust developed slowly, but steadily. Elias and Kareth became symbols of reconciliation. They returned to Acheron, 9, and established a joint colony. Families from both species settled there. Children grew up learning both cultures. The desert moon transformed into a beacon of hope. One evening, the two stood together beneath the stars where they had first met as enemies. Looking across the crystal landscape, they realized love had accomplished what armies never could.